In this video, we're going to be discussing the possibility that the true identity of the Night King is none other than Bran Stark. What's up, YouTube? My name is Justin, this is the Den of Nerds, and I am coming at you with another Game of Thrones theory. Now, this past season has just been absolutely crazy with everything that's going on, and a lot of people out there have a ton of wild theories about, how Thrones is going to end, how certain plot points are going to develop, and Reddit user Turmoil26 has thrown out this theory that honestly, it's so convincing that I've started to believe it myself. He believes that Bran Stark is none other than the Night King. Now, there's a couple of things both in the show and this whole general theory in and of itself supports this. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive right on in. Looking back at Season 6, Episode 5, remember, back then we saw the creation of the White Walkers, when and how the White Walkers were created. And if you watch the whole clip carefully, you can see that the producers have filmed it in such a way where Bran seems to jolt as the man who would become the Night King is being stabbed, and he wakes up at the exact same time that the Night King does as well. Now, this is like, oh, so what? We were just doing this for some sort of maybe stylistic approach, but there may be a little more to these parallels that we're seeing in Bran going back in time than that. Here is the full Reddit theory. At some point, we will arrive at the end of Game of Thrones, which probably means many people will die. That's when Brandon Stark, the son of Eddard Stark, decides he will travel back in time and try to stop the Night King, his army, and basically all of the events of Game of Thrones from taking place. When the three-eyed raven says, "You will never walk again, but you will fly," he means through time, and not only warging a dragon like many Game of Thrones fans believe. There was a reason that Jojen Reed, who also had the green sight and knew even more things about the green sight's potential than Bran, did not become the three-eyed raven himself. That reason is that Bran is even more powerful than both Jojen and the three-eyed raven, who we know as Brynden Rivers, in the way that he has both green sight and the ability to warg. With this combination, Bran is even able to affect the past by warging into Willis, as we saw before, and eventually making him become Hodor, which proves, quote-unquote, that the ink is dry. He also gains his father's attention outside of the Tower of Joy, and he even is touched by the Night King in one of his green sights. Bran believes he is eventually going to be able to rewrite history, and that is why he decides to go back and stop the Night King several times. But he fails every single time and ends up fulfilling the entire timeline circle and taking the identity of the Night King himself. The first time, he tries to go back and prepare Mad King Aerys for the White Walkers, and makes him, through the same whispers that he used to get Ned Stark's attention, prepare wildfire under King's Landing, where the White Walkers attacked, which we'll probably see the White Walkers attack King's Landing in the future. But Bran fails, and the Mad King instead goes crazy from the whispers and tries to burn down the city, leading to all of those events surrounding his death at the hands of Jaime Lannister. The second time, Bran is going to go even further back in time, and he's going to try to discover how the White Walkers were defeated the first time they tried to cross over into Westeros. But he's going to fail again, and instead he will become his namesake, Bran the Builder, building the wall and securing his berth by building Winterfell, and creating the words, "There must always be a Stark in Winterfell," to help prepare them for this future. The very last time, Bran will go back all the way to when the Night King was created, to warg into the human that is later going to become the Night King. He wargs into him to instead try to stop the event where he took the dragon glass into his heart from even happening. This could be him trying to ensure that he runs away from the children of the forest. Maybe he will try to kill the child of the forest that places the glass into his heart himself. We don't know, only he doesn't realize that the children of the forest probably won't recognize him from the future and will think him as nothing but a madman. And when he realizes he has failed again, he's going to try to go back to his current timeline before the dragon glass pierces his heart, but he can't, because he went too deep into the past and stayed too long. Remember the quote, "It is beautiful beneath the sea. Stay too long and you drown." From here, Bran gets stuck in the past exactly as Brynden Rivers and Jojen Reed warned him not to do, and becomes the Night King. With the combination of the Children of the Forest magic and Bran Stark's power, he becomes the villain instead of the hero he tried to be, resulting in turning against the children for creating him and getting stuck behind the wall that he himself would later build as Bran the Builder. Immortal as the Night King is, he will wait for himself to be born thousands of years later, knowing when and where he has to be to mark young Bran Stark, to personally kill Brynden Rivers for hiding the truth about what would happen to him, and eventually to be able to destroy the wall with a certain dragon, like we all know is coming. The reason that the Night King will not end his misery by killing his younger self is that he has finally learned that the ink is dry, and he would fail again. He cannot affect the timeline. The reason he doesn't kill Jon Snow, and instead observes him at Hardhome, will be covered in the end, but it will likely just be something related to him attempting to fulfill the timeline that he realizes. He will end up marching south, and will also fulfill the timeline in that way, and will either take everything over, as was written, or be destroyed at King's Landing, as was written. You can actually see in the scene where Bran goes back to the creation of the Night King, that when the Children of the Forest push the dragon glass into his heart, as we said before, Bran tightens his grip, just as he himself might be experiencing the pain. Also, in the end of the flashback, the shot is framed with Bran laying in the exact same position in the cave as the human pushed up to the tree was. This theory also parts with that one other theory that's going around the internet of Jon Snow being the prince that was promised who eventually has to kill his brother Bran. But this in general will give us the bittersweet ending that a lot of us really want and expect from Game of Thrones. There is no way everything can end happy, right? What do you guys think? Do you guys think this theory is sound? Could Bran Stark be the Night King? Or are we just reaching a little bit and giving the writers too much credit for this? Go ahead and let us know in the comments. As always, if you like this video, guys, go ahead and like it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Game of Thrones videos. We've also got comics and Star Wars and video games if you're looking for something else as well. This is Justin from the Den of Nerds. I hope you're all having an awesome and nerdy day, and I'll catch you later.